Yes.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Sultana, and I'll introduce my group first of all. This is Melody, Thomas, and Zira, and we're doing an interdisciplinary group presentation, and I'll introduce the idea of how we reach pedestrian safety. So, according to classifications of each discipline, my discipline is I'm an architect, but I'm hopefully going to study urban design. And Melody's doing public policy and international public policy. Thomas is doing business management, and Al Jazeera is doing law. So all of these disciplines, according to classification of from literature of Kolb, we kind of all fit under social sciences. So we had an idea of we need to look for a project or a problem that kind of concerns the people or the human, something that can help them or something that can solve a problem that's been raised around that each of us does go through in a daily basis, or especially us being new to London, we thought of pedestrian safety. And I just want to ask a question. How many of you cross the road when it's a red crossing or without the crossing lights? Yes, almost everyone. And it's honestly, it's more dangerous than we think. Just today, I was gonna get hit by a cycle. So we need to think about that. And it's not just our problem. Maybe it's people that planned it, or honestly, in my field, I always thought that urban designers or architects are in charge of designing the streets or actually um, creating where these crossings should be. But it's bigger than that. It's more than that. I discovered that all of these other disciplines do contribute to this problem, and we kind of started thinking of how can we improve that? How can each discipline contribute and put into that? And I'll just give in a brief introduction of the content of how this presentation is going to go. So I started with an introduction, and then I'll speak more of the topic we chose and how we contribute into each discipline contributes into that. And then after it, Melody will start giving in definitions about multidisciplinarity, and then the challenges will be discussed by Thomas, and afterwards solutions by Al Jazeera, and conclusion by her as well. So, okay, let me start with pedestrian safety. I'll start with Al Jazeera. Her major is law, so how can law contribute to that? And first of all, they can, with children, we can start by firm grounding the awareness of road rules, just teaching them that they do exist, and if it's given to them since they were young, it's gonna kind of stick in their minds. And even law drifting and toughening of administrative measures for road rule breakers. That's something that um, law itself can help in, and development of law culture among a society through propaganda work as well. And as urban designer, well, yes, they do have an upper hand in designing or creating the paths and making it maybe easier for people to see where the signs are, adding more signs, or creating a different approach in changing the pavements and adding colors maybe. So the public policy will contribute and give an overview or a direction that contributes in people's security, and also narrowing the overview of policies with limitations, introducing the right policies for pedestrians, and sharing guidance about these policies. So when they introduce these policies, they need to teach people how do you follow these policies, or how do you follow these rules that are applied, and to stimulate and encourage different departments that deal with initiative actions. And then the business and management, well, it was kind of the toughest to include in this, but it does actually fit in, as it can manage all the disciplines and that are included, and manage the employees, and overall, like it's business can be an overall discipline over all of them, and also manage the financial aspects within governmental authorities, because somehow pedestrian safety does go under the government. They're the ones that do have the actions within such a problem. So they do need finances. Like there is a whole department for street safety or fixing the streets. And also maybe they could put awards for those obedient employees. And I'll move on now to I'll now Melody's gonna move on and discuss the definitions.
So,
Thank you.
so I'm going to talk about some theoretical part of this multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary. So how do we going to situate our issues? Which category does it belongs to? So first of all, our team has a discussion on whether it belongs to an interdisciplinary, multi, or transdisciplinary. So I would like to introduce some definitions of perhaps you all have learned from the textbook. So according to our issues for solve the pedestrian problems to, or even not really solve, to reduce the severity of pedestrian safeties, we're definitely not, we're rather not an interdisciplinary, because according to Tritton in the textbooks, it's between to solve any real world problems between two standard disciplinary. So, and then we lay our emphasis into the multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary. So first of all, there are four of us from different disciplinary. We collaborate together, and we sort of respect each other, and we are not actually pursuing a fusion or a melt point between four of us. So, so we're here to solve a problem, and we prefer to remain unchanged. So we decided that we lay our emphasis on multidisciplinary. Yeah, and then move to Thomas, and he would talk about the challenges that face between the disciplinaries.
Okay. Well, even though we four disciplines all belongs to the social science, but we also encountered three challenges, and the first one is knowing the other, and as you can see, we four disciplines have different theory and skills, so we need to talk with each other during the research process, and to know more about each other's disciplines. And the second one is being heard, and it's many most to the misunderstanding which might happen to us, and we need to explain what each other's method way, and to contribute, to cooperate with each other, and to make contribution to this project. And the third one is quantitative and qualitative. As you can see, even though we might use less quantitative method, because we are might all many involved in some literature or some more theoretic method, but we also need quantitative, such as to conduct some survey or something else more involve the quantitative way, and that's three challenges. And in addition, the metaphrase didn't mention in the slide, but I want to talk about it. We all think our topic is more our opinion is that we think the ocean of knowledge is more visible for us, because it involves variety into the uh, mm, compatibility of the knowledge. So it's we think it's more persuade for us. Yeah. So next one, move to the Zadira.
Good day, my name is Jazira, as have already introduced by Sultana. Thank you very much. And in order to conclude our presentation, we raised such serious problem as pedestrian safety. I'm saying serious because there are 60 accidents in the US each day, and approximately 430 people go to emergency in the same time frame for traffic-related pedestrian injuries. We looked on this problem from the point of solving it in an interdisciplinary way. I'm saying interdisciplinary because according to Barry et al, they say as a general spectrum, and of course it's a multidisciplinarity according to Twitter. It's some kind of, if we say about metaphors, we can say that some kind of ocean of knowledge, because all of our disciplines collaborate together, and it's a recursive process actually. And for example, in order to raise this problem, all of a member society from different disciplines have to raise this problem on the governmental level, and through their representatives they go to the states political meetings. After policy decisions, law can work and do some kind of laws or regulations on road rules protection. And in order to apply this law, which is made under the policy decisions, we can have some architectural tools. I don't know, maybe it's some interesting solutions of architecture, or maybe it's solutions from business and management. However, all of them interact together, and for example, business and management could support the state in order to finance architectural solutions and etc. for how to install on the roads maybe some attractive lights for children and etc. Of course, we made some challenges which Thomas mentioned on knowing each other, our languages, understandings, listening each other. It could be some kind of solutions for these challenges. We try to be flexible with each other, to understand each other's contributions, try to more actively listen to each other, and to build a strong relationships between us. Of course, we understand that it is impossible to, we understood that it is impossible to solve such problems alone, and thus we had to build a strong relationships between us as well. And we understood the necessity of importance of each of us, of each of our disciplines. And somehow it was even necessary to break our to cross into other disciplines in order to understand what could be the contribution to this problem, and it could be considered as transdisciplinarity according to Barry et al. And in order to overcome such challenges as to being heard, for solving such serious problem, each specialist from our disciplines have to see the whole picture of the problem, and thus it is maybe necessity of being heard of each of us. And in order to overcome quantitative versus qualitative challenge, it could encourage experts to use different disciplinary methods, maybe some kind of joint workshops, meetings, field walks, and etc.
Thank you. So now let's do what we did before, okay? Go back and each of you summarize your part for us. So we'll start again with Sultana.
Well, I introduced the four disciplines, and then I kind of talked more about how each discipline contributes to the idea of pedestrian safety, or the problem of pedestrian safety, which is a problem that each individual does go through, and it's something more dangerous than we think in a daily basis. And as I discussed before, that law can contribute in a way of setting the rules, and public policy would be kind of guiding them or giving authorities into these rules, and then business and management can have an overall control over the disciplines and have a management aspect with the financial departments, and urban design would be planning or applying these rules in a creative way, or in something that can attract the people to actually obey these rules. And then the definitions.
And I outlined some characters of multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and where did our issues situated in.
Say a little bit more.
What- why do we prefer our topics in multidisciplinary rather than trans or interdisciplinary?
But tell us more about the contributions of each person to this. You were doing stage 2, weren't you? Were you?
Yeah, but I was doing the contributions.
Oh, you did the contributions. You
Yeah.
moved it around a bit.
Yeah.
Oh. So, Melody, what would you say you were focusing on mainly?
We're focusing mainly on multidisciplinary topics.
Oh. Just tell me again, just justify which one you think it is.
We think that our topics would lay emphasis on the multidisciplinary because during working on these issues, we collaborate together to solve these real world problems to reduce the severities of pedestrian safety, and we sort of remain unchanged rather than have a fusion. We're not pursuing a fusion within these 4 disciplinaries in public policy, urban design, law, and business management. So we respect each other and we contribute our each part in to this topic.
Okay, thank you. So, Tom. Thank you, Melody.
Well, generally, I talk about the challenges that we have encountered and regarding of the process we have went through, and picking from the Campbell's literature, 6 challenges we think we had these 3 challenges that the first 2 I think is mainly involves on the communication part. We think we need to make more discussion. We need to do more discussion between us to know more about each other's part, and to communicate.
And do you think you learnt enough about each other?
Yes. So we, after discussion and after communication with each other, we know more about each other's disciplines, language, their research method, so that we can move forward to our topic, and each other we can make a more contribution to this project. And the third one is to which is very important for us because we are not based on the theory disagreements. We also developing our argument with the fact, with the data that is very crucial. for
Thank
us.
you, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So your disciplines are law, public policy, urban design, and business management. Wouldn't you think that law and public policy could be one and the same thing, or is there
We can say that,
Different.
that they could be on the same place. We went yesterday discussed about it with Thomas, but it is impossible to make any law without a policy decision. And we illustrated is a policy decision first, and after such a decision we can drafting bills, and after to apply them thanks to business management, architecture, and other disciplines maybe as well.
okay?
Because it is, they are not on the same level, because first it's policy decision, and after, of course, on the policy meetings could be involved different disciplines, architecture members, business and management members, and law management as well, in order to make more effective work for solving such serious problem. But first policy decision, and only after could be law.
I was asking because I want to understand the mode. We discussed the modes of delivery. One of them is, do you
Yes,
consider
subordinative, yes. I saw that you illustrated some kind of subordinative process when a law service to the business and management. I agree with your point as well, because the main promotion of existing law is to serve to a society, but without policy decision it is impossible to serve to at all generally.
would you add in a fifth discipline to your projects, if you, because I can see one discipline that might work with this, as because it involves pedestrians. Maybe psychology or sociology might work. Another discipline. Would you think so? Or?
It might work because it does. Any social science discipline can work, can fit in not easily, but you can find a way in for it. But it would be a minor or a side discipline.
So
Like,
it should be a subordinate.
yeah, I think maybe education would work if you're gonna look at it from that psychology that way, because you need to educate the people more than play with their psychology, or just if you educate them enough about the rules or regulations of these pedestrian rules, they might stick with them.
Yes, because pedestrian safety is a social problem, so it can be sort of tackled by any social science ways. And for our part, we just develop our ideas with our 4 disciplines. Let's see.
Okay.
Can I ask a question to anybody? Do you think this problem, as you think of it, pedestrian safety, is a lack of discipline amongst people, or do you think it's the exercise of individual decisions? In other words, people are making their own decisions and exercising their own good judgment.
Well, it's a lack of both, in a way, because yes, they do make their own decisions, but they're not afraid of anything, and they don't overthink it just for a second. But as well as if it's a lack of discipline, because you'd see that some people do follow the rules, and I guess these people were used to it, or maybe they were taught in a different way. There's a thin line between the difference between them, which needs to be studied in order to understand why is this problem raised, or what's happening, why is this individual different than that, why would he stop at a red sign but the other would actually cross. So I think it's both.
Do you have any? This is a question for any of you. Do you have any evidence to suggest that people who obey, apparently, the little red man or the little green man or whatever it is, are more likely to remain safe than those who actually make their own decisions?
Well, we didn't research into that as much.
I only ask because you call it pedestrian safety, and I
Yeah.
just wonder how dangerous it is, in fact, to allow people to cross where they wish, rather than wait to be told. In other words, raising
Yeah.
people's awareness of traffic so they make their own decisions. Is that necessarily more dangerous than making people wait together for the red man to change to green and then cross together like sheep, for example?
Yeah, but we didn't get into that much detail into the research, but I think from the research we did, it showed that it's because of not following the rules or crossing at wrong crossings the accidents happen. But we didn't search if they did follow the rule where did accident happen or not.
Well, according to literature, I read, I can't recall it's a very specific, but
Yeah.
I think it's mainly depends on different group of people, and because, for example, for those for those children, for those people who study in primary school, high school, I think the pedestrian safety is more important for them than those adults, because they have different judging ability for
No, that's a good
for
point.
for
That's a very
different
good point.
for different situation, right? For example, these children might need the teacher or some professional institutions to teach them, to direct, to lead them to the right direction, but those adult people can judge by themselves from when they face in different situations. So I think it's necessary for us to
You think adults should set a good example
yeah
for children?
yes, sure, and children need safety education in their
Right.
school.
You mentioned the United States. Was all your research done with that?
It was the only research we did part was on the United States.
You didn't look at Saudi Arabia or Kazakhstan or
Oh no,
China
we did look at
or
examples,
Britain.
but we didn't add those.
Oh.
We did look at case studies.
Yes, we will have some possible solutions,
Suggestions,
examples, but it is impossible to reflect it in our project. How it could be, on a practical way, how it could be
Applied.
yes,
Yeah,
applied.
yeah. Sure. Thank you.
And just
Yes?
very good point about location where your project can be applied. When you justified the importance of our project, you mentioned statistic about accident in the USA. So what do you have in mind? The States, the UK, or it's generally applicable?